I'll never forget the moment she said thought. One sentence so simple, yet so heavy changed everything between us. We had been dating for 2 years, and I thought, wooer. Happy, sure we had our ups and downs like any couple. But I always believed woo had something, real something worth fighting for. But that night, I realized I was the only one still fighting. It started as a regular evening. We're at her apartment, lounging on the couch, scrolling through Netflix, ging over what to watch, the kind that's supposed to be comfortable easy. But then her phone lit up again and again. I wasn't the jealous type, but wasn't blind either. I noticed how she would smile at her screen, quickly lock it, and act like nothing happened. Noticed how she started turning her phone face down whenever we were together. I tried to ignore it at first, but that night, something inside mesnopped. Who keeps texting you? I asked, my voice but firm. She sighed, dramatically her eyes, as if I had asked her the most ridiculous question. Enthralled, why do you care? She shot back. Becca's word together. I said, keeping my tone steady, and I feel like there's some mething. You're not telling me that's when she said it. She leaned back, crossed her arms, and with a smirk sent a chill down my spine, she said, there are plenty of men who want me. I just stared at her, waiting for her to take it back, to laugh and say she was joking, but she hadn't. Instead, she picked up her phone and started scrolling like the conversation was over. At that moment, a mething inside me shifted. I realized I had been trying so hard to be the man she wanted to keep her, happy to make her feel loved. But what about me? What about my worthy? Nodded slowly, processing her words. Then I stood up. Good too. No, I said. She looked up confused. What? I grabbed my keys from the table, turned to face her one last time and said, if there are plenty of men hoeing to you, then you won't miss me. Then he won't miss me. Then he walked out. I expected her to chase after him, to call, to text something, but she hadn't. The first night, I barely slept. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a message that never came. Maybe she was waiting for me to be the first to Brecto come crawling back like I always did after an argument. Not this time, I focused on myself. I hit the gym, reconnected with old friends, started doing things enjoyed but had neglected during a relationship. It felt good. It felt like freedom. Then, 2 weeks later, I got thetis, TT. Hey, that was it. Just hey. I stared at my screen, debating whether to reply. But then I remembered she had made her choice, and I had made mine. I left Eton Read. A month passed before I saw her again. I was out with friends, laughing, genging myself when she walked in. She looked different, tired, maybe even regretful. Her eyes met across the room, and for a moment, everything froze. It was like time rewound to themament, when everything fell apart, but no, there was a weight on her shoulders thought I hadn't seen before, a kind of heaviness in her posture that made me how much had changed in such a short time. She spotted me, hesitated for a second, then made her weight over. She was moving slowly, like she wasn't sure if she had the right to approach me. When she reached my table, I felt a flicker of something. Was it guilt? Hope I couldn't hold. Hey, she said softly, her voice almost shy, as if the confident woman I once knew had a sappered. I nodded in acknowledgement. Didn't say much. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I just didn't know what to say anymore. She had already said that needed to be said through words. The excuses, the justification I had given her, the chanchetto make a choice, and now she was her hero. Admitting she'd made the wrong one was wrong, she admitted, looking down at her drink, her fingers nervously. The glass, I thought I had options, but they weren't real, not like what we had illit, her words sink in each syllable, dragging me back to a time when I would have given anything to hear her say something like that, a time when I would have done whatever it took to fix what was broken. But now it didn't change ya. The old me would have fallen for it. The old me would have taken her back with open arms and a heart full of hope, but that version of me didn't exist anymore. You're right, I finally said, my voice calm, almost detached. They weren't real, but I was. She looked up at me, her eyes searching mine, maybe looking for some kind of forgiveness, some sign that I still cared, but I didn't owe her that anymore. She had made her choice when she said there were plenty of men who wanted her and he wasn't going to be part of her backup plan. She reached for my hand the same way she used to, with that familiar touch that once made me feel like I was the center of her world. But this time, pulled away, not out of anger, but because I had learned to value myself more than he ever had before. "I hope you find what you're looking for," I said, giving her Osmal smile, a smile that didn't come from a place of regret or longing, but from that sometimes the hardest thing to do is walk away from someone you doesn't appreciate you. I turned back to my friends, picking up the conversation where we'd left off, but did I felt a quiet peace wash over me. Wasn't about winning or losing it, ways about knowing my worth. Even when shedn't, as I walked away from her, I realized something. I wasn't bitter, it wasn't angry. I was just done. She thought she had options, and maybe she did, but so did I. And this time, I chose myself. This time, I wasn't looking for someone to fill the void. I wasn't searching for someone to tell me that IWA's good. Enough I already knew that, and that, I realized, was the greatest freedom he could ever have.